Speaking of Europe, actually,
Mm.
the Champions League Final.
Mm.
Massive game. We covered a lot of the Champions League. I actually found out from a viewer recently that we actually didn't do a reaction to the semifinal. I think we forgot to do that. Like the Inter versus Barca and all that PSG Arsenal, but still Champions League final. Now we're here. We are covering it, of course, and we'll be covering the game. We'll do a reaction once it's over as well. PSG versus Inter Milan. I don't know how you actually pronounce it, but I tried. This is gonna be very fun, honestly. Very. What'd you say, Eric?
I said, bro.
Inter Milano.
Inter Milano. It'll be a very interesting game, and I want to preview the game a little bit, but also hop into some predictions because we spam the predictions over here. We got to see who's right and who's wrong after the game's over, but. I guess we'll just base it a little bit off of those previous results. Inter handling Barcelona. Handling maybe is a strong word. But I think it was 7-6 on aggregate in the end. Crazy result. We don't have to go super in depth because that was a few weeks ago now. But how did that make you feel about them going into the final? Did you expect Inter to put up 7 goals across 2 games? Concede 6 goals across 2 games? That's kind of wild.
Not at all, man. I think one, it was a heartbreaking watch because as someone who was just rooting for Barcelona and just thought that Barca was the most cohesive, just like fluid team I was seeing. Obviously, I originally had Real taking the whole thing just because I thought talent alone would get them over the top. Clearly, that did not happen. Seeing how Inter was just like, I don't know, they always seem to be a leg up on Barca, and even though Barca had a lot of fight in them, it just looks like they had them kind of figured out. And I don't know, they just seemed to just have, it was like a how do I say this? Like they just seemed prepared and like to take off a team or to like take down a team that can really catch fire just at any moment. Is impressive because there were lots of moments there where it felt like, there was magic going on. There were legendary performances put on by like Lamine Yamal. Like he was insane.
Crazy.
He was insane.
Best player in the world, honestly.
I don't know.
Best player in the world.
There's just something to be said when like sports is always going to be, any sport is really going to be a game on momentum, right? Like, and to be able to constantly kill that momentum on a team that just seemed to just consistently be getting hot. I have to pay my respects to Inter, and I feel pretty good about them winning the whole thing. I know, Dre, your prediction originally was you were siding with Inter because you had previously underestimated them. I think all of us here underestimated the 2 teams that have made it to the final, and I personally just can see Inter raising up the trophy in the end, but that's just me.
Interesting. Okay, well then, let's hop to you, Alexi, and let's talk a little bit about like you said, we have to go super in depth. And if you want to add on to that as well, you can. But the Arsenal PSG game, just to get into that super quick.
Yeah.
PSG ended up winning 3-1 on aggregate. Arsenal fans,
they Spursed it, man.
Hey man, no trophies, kind of crazy, but yeah, PSG. Kind of the underdogs coming into this tournament. I know they were been super informed, but I don't think anyone at the beginning of the season would have said PSG in a Champions League final, especially after Mbappe leaving, going to Madrid. That's crazy.
It reminds me of Harry Kane, bro. Like leaving Tottenham in a way. Like they finally win their trophy. Like sure, he won his trophy in the Bundesliga, but that was his team. So it's the same way with Mbappe. That was his team for like 4 or 5 years, and now they might actually finally win the thing they were trying to win in buying Messi and Neymar and him for. So whether it actually happens, I really, this is a game I don't want to bet on, bro. I think it can go either way. I think a slight bias for Inter just because, I mean, it's such a unique lineup. And for me, the fact that Mkhitaryan's still out here and somehow making it to a Champions League final, like, if you told me 8 years ago that he would be in a Champions League final, I would have told you were lying and that there's no way, there's no shot. But here he is. But they've got a great forward lineup as well. Just the way they've played, the way they've defended, as they're known to this tournament. I think I definitely prefer like their style, and if they win, I'll be happy. I think that'll also be something different. I think too many times we see like the so-called like big clubs, even though Inter's still a big club in Italy. It's not normal though. You see like an Italian side like win the Champions League. I feel like maybe in years past it was more normal, but in recent times,
last decade, yeah, not really.
Not recently. So that's something I would prefer to see. But at the end of the day, I think we're just in for a good match of soccer. And Arsenal definitely did not deserve to be here.
Interesting. Yeah, this is a crazy final to me. Like this entire tournament, for me, and I think I said it back when we first did our predictions for the bracket, that Inter really are the dark horse of the tournament. I think most people would have had Madrid winning it. I was on Barca from the beginning, but Inter to me, just their style of play, just looks sneakily like a winning style of play for knockout football specifically. Obviously, they didn't end up winning Serie A. They ended up losing to the greatest of all time, Scott McTominay, who carried Napoli to the Scudetto. So, you know, another Man United player revitalizing his career.
Nah, bro, he was always solid, bro. He was always solid.
Always as in that one
Actually, no, that's
before he
definitely not true. He was not solid when he first came on the scene, but over time, he's like Harry Maguire, where he put his head down, he put in the work, and it showed. It showed. So I'm happy for him.
For sure. And I think that itself was crazy. Honestly, I saw this comment somewhere that like players should just join Man United just so when they leave they get the post United buff.
Maybe that's Cunha's tactic right now. He's like, join for a year contract or whatever, and I'm out.
Yeah, go crazy somewhere else. But this matchup, my head is telling me Inter, and my head has been telling me Inter for a long time, just because of their style of play. The fact that they showed me the flexibility, because for most of the tournament, I think they had barely conceded any goals, period. But then to tell me that they conceded 6 to Barcelona, which I think that just alone speaks to Barcelona's attacking prowess and Lamine Yamal putting on an absolute showcase. But to tell me that they conceded 6 to Barcelona, but were able to slap 7 on their head top is crazy to me. Like, I never would have expected Inter to score 7 goals across 2 games.
Yeah.
So that shows me that more than just being this defensive juggernaut, they really do have the full package, and they really have specialists for their system. Like, they're proving you can really play this 3 at the back, 5 at the back hybrid, whatever, if you have specialists like Dumfries and DeMarco bombing those wings, going crazy. Dumfries in that semifinal, those 2 legs, he went absolutely stupid. Like that was crazy. I think he was coming back for injury for those games too. So my head is definitely telling me Inter. However, my heart is saying PSG, only because I think I heard there's apparently some kind of magic with finals in Munich, where teams win their first European trophy every time there's a final in Munich. And this final isn't like 2012 Chelsea beat Bayern Munich in Munich to win the Champions League with that Drogba header. Oh my God, goated. But the fact that PSG are the team coming in here without that Champions League trophy to their name, and the fact that Luis Enrique proved to me, I mean, he was always a great coach. Obviously, he did the treble with Barcelona, whatever, 10 years ago. But the adjustment to make Ousmane Dembele this like false 9, and the fact that like I never even considered it, and it makes perfect sense that one of the most 2-footed players in the game could play in the middle and dictate play to those wingers that he has. And obviously he has Kvaradona, who's a monster, and then swapping out Due or Barcola. But to me, that was just a master stroke of coaching to have Dembele in this role. And now we're seeing him, honestly, if he wins this game, he's up there for Ballon d'Or conversation, which is crazy. You never would have considered Dembele winning the Ballon d'Or before Mbappe. I never, ever would have had that on my bingo card. So really, like you guys both said, this is true 50-50. But just because I had Inter as the dark horse coming into this tournament, I feel like I have to back them. And if PSG pull it out, honestly, I will be happy for them because they really changed their whole project, like backing French talent specifically. And although they got rid of arguably the best French talent, but it will make Mbappe the biggest loser of this entire European season, even though he won the European Golden Boot. We don't care, bro. You left PSG, went to Madrid with the most stacked team any of us can remember.
No, I stand by that still, though, bro.
But I'm not saying he shouldn't have done it.
Seeing him play in the Liga, it's not the same as La Liga. And, even there, I think he set the record for the most amount of goals for like first season at Madrid. So, as you said, Golden Boot. Yeah, trophy-wise, not looking great. But for him in his career and hopefully what will be a great legacy, I think this was the right move nonetheless.
Yeah, I think in the long term, it'll prove to have worked out. But for a first season, now you look like you were the issue the entire time at PSG. Like the fact that you leave Madrid, who I think especially because he's been flirting with Madrid for years, and Madrid just won the Champions League, for them to get bounced the way they did, and for PSG to potentially win the Champions League the year after, like basically you were the common denominator for not winning it, does not look good for him. But I'm sure he's still a crazy talent. He's probably going to win a Ballon d'Or at some point, or a Champions League at some point. If he doesn't, if he retires without either of those, I will be completely shocked. Now that'd be kind of wild. But I'm going with Inter for this game. If I understand correctly, Eric, you're also, I think that we all backed Inter. It sounded like anyway as a prediction.
Yeah, I have Inter.
Yeah, I back Inter. But again, PSG still got a great team.
For sure.
Yeah, I also want to shout out that Georgian dude. I don't even know how to say his name. Kvaratskhelia, whatever. Kvaratskhelia, yeah.
But I call him Kvaradona.
That one. Kvaradona, yeah.
Yeah,
well
that's a better name.
Well deserved. I know he's gonna put in a shift in that final, so I can't wait for his performance personally.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy. The fact that he joined PSG mid-season, well, one, it's crazy that Napoli still went on to win.
He won in 2 trophies.
Yeah, wait, true. That's crazy. Well, we might win a treble with PSG because they won all the domestic stuff already. And then obviously, if you win Serie A technically, and then if you win Champions League, that might be the greatest.
A pental.
Yeah. That's definitely not the word, but I don't know what it is. A quintuple.
Oh yeah,
a pental is crazy. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this final. It's gonna be a lot of fun for sure.